So, welcome everyone. Hopefully this turns out to be a good thing for everyone who's come in. Glad to see you guys here. And let's see, Viz. Okay, yep. Now I can actually see the name a little bit. Welcome here. I'm glad to see John, Steve, Rose. All of you are very, very welcome here. People that I'm connected to in one way or another. There's Peggy again. Okay, we lost you there for a moment.
Yeah, I had to get off for a second.
Yeah, that's okay. So I did also, one reason for the recording, I had a few emails from people saying that they'd be able to make for the first hour, but not for the second hour. And there were some people who wouldn't be able to make today at all. And so I do want to make sure that I'm serving as many people as possible. So if there's anything that happens during here that you say, well, I don't want to be recorded, or please don't include this in the recording, I don't think that's ever going to come up, but just in case it does, just let me know and I'll pull it out of the recording. So I'm perfectly okay with all of that. Again, my focus is on how can I serve you the best. Okay, so let's see, there is one other thing that I wanted to bring up on my screen. Okay, there it is. Okay. So, let's see here. Okay, so I probably should have spent a little time preparing for this, but I wanted it to be informal, so no preparation. So I'm flying by the seat of my pants on this one. Improvising. Okay, so what's happened over the years? As most of you know, I started teaching manifesting over 20 years ago. I started back in 2003 with the Keys to Power Step-by-Step course, which was really just a week-by-week study course on what my process was that I went through to learn how to manifest things into my life. And so I knew it worked for me. I had hoped that it was going to work for everyone else. And so I started producing that, released it out into the world. I had a lot of really great feedback off of that. So that's why I continued. After that, I did a bunch of other stuff, including the Choose to Believe book, which is right over here. I did that one. I published that in 2008. That one focused on the science behind manifesting and how it really is all about what do you believe will happen. When you believe that things are going to happen, more often than not, they actually do, unless there are other beliefs in our system that counteract the primary belief. That's why in that book, I talk about a hierarchy of belief. There's the surface beliefs, the things that we're readily aware of, but then there's deeper levels of belief. There's the level of belief about self-image, as far as what do you believe about yourself in general. What do you believe about specific other people in general also falls into that category. Then we have world-level beliefs below that, where those are the beliefs that we have about people in general, about business in general, about relationships in general. Those are the world level beliefs, and those being deeper, more generalized beliefs are actually more powerful in shaping our experiences than the surface level beliefs. The surface level beliefs can only influence that context set by the deeper beliefs a certain amount. So if you have a belief that life is hard, then if you have a belief that life is hard and you don't always get what you want, then if you go in for a job interview and come out of it thinking, I'm going to get that job, that's a surface level belief, but your belief about life being hard and not always getting what you want can cause you not to get the job even though you thought you were. So that's why some beliefs seem to not work out and get manifested, because there's a deeper level belief that is controlling it. And then the last level of beliefs down are what I call the universal beliefs. These are the beliefs that we have about reality itself. We are living in a physical world. We have to live by physical rules. That's a universal belief. If you believe that we are living in a spiritual world and that what appears to be physical is really more of an illusion than it is reality, that's a completely different belief which will lead to a completely different set of experiences. So that was kind of the foundation of manifesting that I wrote about back in 2008. Actually, I wrote it mostly in 2007. It got published in 2008. Since then, I did the Harmonic Prayer book where I talked about a very simplified version of manifesting, which was to connect with the divine. Let's see, I don't even remember the steps right now. I wrote it in an email. So it's basically a 5-step process where you connect with the divine, you activate your faith, and affirm that I believe that I can change my experience of reality. And then you imagine what you want to experience, you accept it, you give thanks for it. And then the last step was to start looking for it, following your intuition to guide you to connect with the result of your manifestation. So that was the simplified version that I wrote about in 2012 in the Harmonic Prayer book. More recently, though, in the Divine Dynamics course, which was really just a few years ago, I think it was like 2019, 2020 that I did that course, I simplified the manifesting process even further to just 3 steps, which was to relax, go as deeply as you can, get into a self-hypnotic state if possible, and then while you're in that deep meditative state, to imagine what you want as if it is currently happening and you're right in the middle of it. That experience on the deep inner level helps to shape the beliefs necessary to support that experience in actual life. And then the third step there, let's see, what was the stairs? Okay, the third step was to anchor that in with a feeling of truth and reality, as in, I have imagined all these things. These are now my reality. This is what's actually going to happen. And so by having that anchor into truth and reality, that's what turned the imaginary experience into a real experience. And that process works very well for those that really get into it. So, recent events. Okay, a couple years ago, this is stuff you probably don't know. A couple years ago, I had a coaching client that I was working with to help him master the manifestation process. He had learned about it through my book, Choose to Believe. He came to me, hired me to answer some questions for him. At first, it was just a one-off session, Q&A. He was asking me questions. I was answering those. He wanted more, so we scheduled further sessions, and then it kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going. Eventually, I said, you know what? If you have this many questions, why don't I just lead you through if you have this many questions and you are comfortable paying the coaching fee on an ongoing basis, let's just do a one-on-one development program. And he said, no, I really don't want to do that. Eventually, I saw what was happening inside of him. He had certain blocks and limitations within himself that for one reason or another, just explaining things to him wasn't enough to change that, wasn't enough to eliminate those blocks so that he can finally connect to that divine power within and channel it to manifest what he wanted. So at that point, I realized I needed to learn a little bit more about hypnosis, because with what I knew on a surface level, I knew it was possible. I just didn't really know the steps well enough to be able to do it for him. So that's why I started doing a deep dive into hypnosis. I got into the hypnotherapy, where you can help people cure lifelong phobias in 20 minutes or less, help people stop smoking and other habits that they've had for many years in a single session. So I was really looking for what are the mental, psychological processes that help someone make that level of a shift in a very short period of time. And I learned a lot. One of the things that I learned early on was that the foundation of hypnosis is the same foundation as manifesting. With manifesting, it's all about the belief. It's all about the expectation. With hypnosis, it's really the same thing. It's all about belief. It's all about expectation. When you believe that the hypnotist has the ability to guide you to make a change, I've seen and read so many examples of this where a hypnotist says, okay, in a moment I'm going to do something with you that will cause you to go into a deep and profound trance where we can make the change. And then a minute later, he's doing something, he coughs, and the person somehow thinks that was the trigger and they went right into the deep trance. No intention on the part of the hypnotist, but that's what happened because that's what they expected. So there's a lot of that kind of information in the hypnosis world as well. Well, beyond that, I also learned what they call the meta pattern, which is a 4-step process where you acknowledge the problem that you want to eliminate. Then the second step is you find some way to mentally clear out that problem or at least set it aside so that you can get beyond it for a moment. And then the third step is to connect with a resource that will replace the problem. And then the fourth step is to bring the problem, the original problem, and that resource together with the expectation that this resource is going to eliminate the problem. And so that's the meta model, which is a very simplified version of what's at the heart of hypnotherapy. There's a lot of other processes that work around this, but that's one of the key basics behind it. So I'd learned that. So, okay, fast forward into just a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, I was working with a different coaching client, and I was preparing for our third session together, and I had certain things in my mind that I wanted to accomplish in that session, and I was rehearsing in my mind how I would run that session. And one of the things that I was thinking about, and this is one of the weird things that I found with this hypnosis, is that you can be doing certain things without even intending to cause a result, and you can still get a result from it. So this is kind of weird because I was thinking about a particular coaching client and what I would be doing with him. And so I was thinking through this thing about, okay, you've tried to solve this problem for a lot of years through conscious effort, and that hasn't worked. That proves that the answer is not in your conscious mind. You have to step beyond the conscious mind, open yourself up to the subconscious mind, that unconscious resource of wisdom within, and allow that to solve the problem for you. And believe it or not, that answer is going to just pop into your mind completely unexpected. It's going to be so simple, so easy, and you are going to laugh because of how obvious that answer is. So that's the kind of thing that I was thinking about doing. Well, an hour later, I was watching through another video on different types of hypnosis, and the speaker was basically talking about things that I already knew. But somewhere in there, he said something which triggered a thought, which popped up into my conscious mind, and I laughed because of how obvious it was. And it's like, wow, this is interesting. I'm thinking about helping someone else, and I get helped in return. This is amazing. But the thought that came into my mind at that point was that, okay, manifesting is based on beliefs. It's there. Hypnosis is also based on beliefs. So in my mind, previous to that moment, these were two separate but related things. What I realized at that moment is that hypnosis and manifesting are not just related, they are literally one and the same thing, period. Because when you are going through a hypnosis process to eliminate a problem, you are in essence manifesting a solution. And that problem could be a bad habit that you want to get rid of, like smoking or a fear of public speaking or something like that. That would be the problem being solved. In hypnosis, when we're going through those processes, we're literally manifesting a solution. So once I realized that they were two forms of the same thing, that opened up a whole new world of information for me, because I could take everything I'd learned about manifesting and apply it to hypnosis. And I can also take all of the new stuff that I learned about hypnosis and apply it to manifesting. And once I started piecing all that together, all sorts of new ideas started popping up. Just as one quick example, in hypnosis, one of the things that I learned there, which was apparently separate from manifesting, was that when someone goes into a hypnotic trance, they go in to a certain level. And then they come out of it, and then whenever they go back into a hypnotic trance, whether it's a day later, a week later, an hour later, a couple minutes later, they go down into an even deeper level of trance than they did before. And this is a process that hypnotists called fractionation, and it's something that one of the famous inductions, called the Dave Ellman induction, uses very specifically. They put the person into trance, they pull them back out again, they put them right back into trance, they pull them out again, and before they even have a chance to take a breath, they go right back in, and they do that 3 or 4 times to get them into a very deep level of trance for the hypnosis work to happen. So when I started thinking about how hypnosis and manifesting are really the same thing, I'm thinking, okay, how can I use that with manifesting? Because the more focused we are in our manifesting efforts, the more of that divine power we can channel into the situation and create the outcome that we're looking for. The deeper we go into that focus, which is the same thing with hypnosis, hypnosis is going into a deep focused state of mind, the more effective our manifesting becomes. So I started looking at this fractionation. It's like, okay, it's all about focus, relax, focus, relax, focus, relax. And so I started thinking about, okay, if I started approaching manifesting using the same thing, going back to what I've talked about in previous emails and courses, the simplest form of manifesting, if you really want to get down to the basics, is just 2 steps. Decide what you want, trust that it's going to happen. Well, in my process, what I tend to do most often is that in that deciding process, I'm also focusing all of my attention on the thing that I want to manifest, focusing on it as if it is now currently my reality, and I'm putting a lot of power and pressure in a way, not so much energy, but pressure, kind of like a voltage in an electric circuit. I'm putting this mental pressure into this idea of what I want to manifest and holding it in place so that it takes hold. That's my process for setting a new belief to support a manifesting result. So when I'm looking at it from the fractionation point of view, it's like, okay, I'm going to focus, get this in place, this is going to happen, this is my reality, this is what I'm going to experience. And then, okay, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to relax, clear my mind, just let it be. And then I'm going to come back to it again, focus even more intensely. And then I'm going to sit back and relax, clear my mind. And as you're clearing your mind, all extraneous thoughts are fading away. And then you're able to go back into it with an even clearer mind, with even greater focus. And so coming back into it, focus, that produces an even more powerful manifesting process. So that's one of the things that I realized in this recent time frame. The other thing that I started looking at is over the last couple of years, I had developed my own protocol for a hypnosis session. And I probably should bring that up on my screen so I can reference it, but I kind of have a basic idea. And it really starts out with define what it is that you're actually, okay, someone's saying they're transcribing, that's okay for now. I am also recording on my camera, and well, I'm recording in a couple different ways. I can get it transcribed too. So, okay. I think I heard someone wanting to chime in. I do want this to be a conversation, so if you have something to add in, please do. I'm perfectly okay with that. Okay, maybe not. Okay, that's fine. So as I was looking at the protocol that I had developed for my hypnosis session, it starts out being very clear about what you want to change in the session. If I'm following it religiously, I'm also asking for a commitment that you are ready to make this change and you are willing to be open to whatever is going to happen to allow this change to take place. So that's the first step that we start into. Second step, we go into that hypnotic state, that focus state. And my process is always on focusing on positive emotions like love and joy. And then to follow those positive emotions into a deeper level of focus so that you can be completely 100% focused on that inner reality, that inner space, that positive divine space of love and joy, separate from the world outside. And then that's my process for getting into that hypnotic state. So that's my second step. Then the third step is really about working with the subconscious, unconscious mind. And there's a couple different ways that it happens depending on what we're actually doing. But the end result of that is that changes are made on a deep inner level and possibly insights are gained from those changes. So the conscious mind knows how to proceed after the session to support the changes that are being made. Let's see, and then there's another phase where we basically future pace, pretend that we're living in that future time frame. How is life going to be now that the changes have been made? See yourself as the type of person who is now living in this new way. All of this kind of thing, which basically is integrating the changes into the personality, into the self-image so that the changes stick. And then the last phase is just come out and well, there's also a step in there that echoes in the new fifth step that I'm talking about now. It was a little nebulous, but again, working back and forth, I was able to clarify quite a number of things. So that brings us to now, and a very simplified 5-step process for manifesting or doing any kind of change work, whether you want to manifest a change in feeling, as in I want to feel better when I'm in front of crowds. I want to feel better when I am speaking in front of a group. I want to feel better about myself in general. You can manifest a change in that way. You can also manifest an answer to a question, as in, I really don't know how to proceed on this. I'm going to manifest the answer. And so you can manifest that. You can also manifest a change in behavior, as in, I don't want to be doing this anymore. I want to be doing that instead. That's a different level of manifesting, which tends to get into the realm that is normally covered by hypnosis. But then we also get into the type of manifesting that we've been working with for the last 20 years, which is, I want more financial abundance in my life. I want a new relationship in my life. I want this relationship that I have to become a little bit better than it has been. Those types of things can also be manifested using the same process. So I mentioned it in a recent email. You may remember it. It's really just a 5 process. And I found that 3 of the words that I was using to describe it were already starting with the letter I. The other 2, it was a very easy search to find another word that also started with the letter I. So we have alliteration throughout the whole thing, making it a little bit easier to remember. So in the new form of manifesting that I'm talking about right now, the first one is to set the intention. What is it that you intend to change? What is it that you intend to manifest into your experience? Be very clear about that, be very focused on it, and to focus all of your mind on that intention so that nothing else is coming into your awareness. This does a couple different things. This is also a new realization for me, in that before, when I talked about faith, focus, and feeling, faith obviously was the most powerful aspect of manifesting. Whatever you believe to be true will become true. Focus, the way I had taught it before, is that if your faith is not strong, focus can help make that faith strong. And the reason why, which is kind of a new realization, is that when you're focused completely on the thing that you want to manifest, as if this is my only reality, and all of your brain cells are working towards focusing on this one thing, there's nothing left to doubt the process. By focusing your mind completely on the thing that you want to manifest, there can be absolutely no doubt. And as Christ said, if you ask for something to happen, believe that it's going to happen, and do not doubt, it will happen. The do not doubt part can be created with an intense level of focus. That's another realization that enters into all this. So going back to what I was just saying, before faith, focus, feeling, faith is the power. Focus, I now know that focus is what focuses the power of that faith into a single point. It's kind of like taking a magnifying glass outside and focusing the sunlight onto a piece of paper. The sunlight normally just makes the paper warm. You magnify it and focus it into a tiny spot. That same light can actually set the paper on fire. So if you take that power that is within you, the power of your mind, the power of your thoughts and beliefs, and focus it onto a single thing, you have the ability to focus that faith, eliminate the doubt, and make it happen. And then what I was teaching before, the feeling aspect was really just about adding in the extra details, making the experience seem more real to you, which would boost the faith. But now that I've been focused on the hypnotherapy and using those positive feelings to create the focus, to actually not only create the focus, but also to tune that deeper mind onto a single frequency, like the frequency of love, the frequency of joy, the frequency of success, the frequency of abundance, the frequency of harmony, the frequency of whatever the essence of what you want to manifest may be. By aligning your feelings into the space that you want to live, that activates certain processes within your mind so that the right ideas come forward, the right preferences are there so that you feel more like doing this than that. And by focusing those feelings onto the thing that you want to experience, it's like what I'm doing right now. I really didn't have time. I really didn't take the time to prepare. And yet, because I am focused on the feeling of being of value and the outcome that I want to create here, which is a lot of people saying, oh, this was so helpful. This has really been a magical experience for me. That is the objective that I have in my mind. That's where my focus is. And everything else that's coming out of this is coming from that deeper mind. I am not consciously planning any of this. It's just happening. And I can hear what's happening. And it's the start of this went a completely different direction than what I expected. But I now see the logic of what happened. And it's like, wow, that deeper mind is just so wise and knows how to piece things together so that it all works out perfectly. So I am continuing to trust the process and just let it flow. So the faith-focused feeling that I'd been talking about before, my understanding of that is slightly different. But, okay, maybe not. Okay. Again, if you want to jump in and ask a question, feel free to do that. I am winding down on this part right now, and I am going to ask for feedback pretty soon here. So the original form of manifesting that I talked about a long time ago, the harmonic prayer form of manifesting, the divine dynamics form of manifesting, the simplified 2-step process, and this new 5-step process, I can now see where they're all just different variations of the same thing. If you truly believe that you can make a decision and have it manifest, that's all you need to do. If your belief is not yet there, then you need some process to change your beliefs so that your beliefs do support the outcome you want to experience. And then that's when these other steps come into play. The 5-step that I'm talking about right now, this is what I can currently identify as the simplest form of manifesting that covers all of the bases. So if we go through all 5 of these steps, there's very little that gets left behind. Now, there's 2 different ways that there's a lot of different ways to use the 5 steps. There's a very simplified version that I'm going to walk you through today. It's like a 15-minute process. And this is something that I'm planning to use very often in the new membership that I'm creating, a weekly process that is 15 minutes long, walks through these 5 steps for various aspects of manifesting everything that we want in life. There's also a much longer version, very similar to my full session protocol, that would take 45 minutes to run through. So it can be flexible, is really what we're after. So again, the 5 steps that I'm talking about: set the intention of what you want to manifest, focus very clearly on that. Indulge in positive emotions so that you can focus all of your attention on the world within and connect to that divine mind within. Open yourself up to greater possibilities through that indulgence. And then the insight portion is where you simply ask your deeper mind to take care of the problem for you and tell you whatever you need to know on a conscious level to assist in the manifestation. That's something that I always used to do way back when. It's like, okay, make this happen. If I need to do something, let me know what. So essentially, we're doing the same thing in that 3rd insight phase. After insight, we integrate the changes. We acknowledge that the changes have been made. The manifestation has taken place. It may exist in a future time, and we just have to wait for it to happen. That's all it is. We may have to follow certain guidance to get there. And then the last piece is what I'm calling an invocation. And it's essentially the same thing as the intention, except rather than intending the change to happen, we're intending the change to be permanent. And so that's the 5-step process that I'm talking about now. Intention, indulgence, insight, integration, and invocation. So that covers at least 80% of everything that I was wanting to cover today. I want to hear your thoughts on this, and if you have any questions, if you have a comment, if you see things a different way, I am just as open to learn from you as I am to share what I've learned. So please give me something.
So, Alan, I've got some feedback. So it seems to me, and I could be wrong about this, but it seems to me that the intention setting is kind of tricky. So what I'm understanding, and I'm in the process of working on manifesting and that sort of thing vigorously in that process in my life right now. It's kind of the thing that's consuming me, which is great, I think. I want to be consumed by it. But on the intention, what I'm understanding is that it's important to have an intention that comes from the place of things being already manifested. So if I wanted more money, the intention of more money actually creates a gap between me and the money. Right. So, so we wouldn't want the intention to be more money, even though that's kind of what the intention is. That's not the best intention. A better intention would be to live in a world of complete abundance or something like that. So it's kind of the same thing, but it's so anyway, that's all that was coming up for me was that I think it's important, and again, I could be wrong about this, to really be spot on with the intention and not have it coming from a place of lack and limitation.
Right, right. And I hear exactly what you're saying, because when I first started down this road and learned about affirmations, I had the exact same feeling that, okay, how do I affirm that I am already financially abundant if I have no money in my bank account? So what you're talking about is trying to jump to the end step, or trying to do everything in one step rather than doing it as a multi-step process. So the
Right. Yeah.
intention is really okay. Let me go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so when you say the intention seems tricky, that's because I did not clearly explain it. So the intention itself is not really tricky, because it's like, what is the reason why I'm doing this process? I'm doing this process so that I can bring more money into my life. I want to create more money in my life. I want to have greater financial abundance. I don't have it now, but I do want it. So we're acknowledging the gap. We're acknowledging that something has to change. We're acknowledging that we are entering into a process that will change that. And that's the key belief here. The key belief is the thing that I am doing now will change this situation. The thing that I'm doing now will cause the manifestation to take place. It's kind of like the example I mentioned earlier about the hypnotist that told his client, in a moment I'm going to do something, you're going to go into a deep hypnotic trance. Then he coughed and she went into a deep hypnotic trance. It had nothing to do with the cough, but it had everything to do about the expectation that something was going to happen that will produce a result. So in the intention step, we're creating that expectation that something is going to happen that will produce the result we want. So in the intention step, okay, let me just kind of demonstrate this for a brief moment. If I am manifesting greater financial abundance, let's go ahead and use that example. If I am doing that, I'm going to set my intention as in, okay, right now I don't have the abundance that I want. I am going to change that. I am going to manifest greater financial abundance. I am sending out the call to all parts of my system, my conscious mind, subconscious mind, unconscious, divine mind, superconscious, all different aspects of mind. I'm going to talk to all parts of me, even my body, if that would be involved. We are now on alert. We are now making this change. I am entering into this process, and I fully expect this process will manifest the change for me. So it's really just about focusing on what you want and setting the intention that the process is going to make it happen for you. Because honestly, the conscious mind really doesn't do the manifesting. The conscious mind simply gives the message to the deeper mind, the subconscious, divine mind, whatever level of mind you want to focus on. The conscious mind simply creates the vision, sends the message, and then waits for it to happen. So on a conscious level, all we're really doing is, especially in the intention step, we're setting the intention, okay, this is going to change. Going back to the four-step meta pattern, acknowledge the problem is the first step. You've got to acknowledge that there is a gap. And then second step is that essentially discount the reality of that problem. It's like, okay, right now I don't have the financial abundance I want. That's not going to be a problem because I'm going to manifest something. Then we get into bringing the manifestation out, which is a later step in the process before we integrate it in. So does that help to clarify?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I still don't like it. So the intention that I want to set is I am abundant. Okay, so not that I want to be abundant, but the intention I would want to set in a session, if abundance is the issue, I am abundant. Neville Goddard calls it living in the end. And that's
Right.
would be my intention, is to live in the end. So I would want to somehow get in there if it's possible, and it may not even be possible, but my preference would be to get in there without there being a problem to solve,
Right.
with the problem already solved. And it's almost like there's, well, one way of looking at it,
Okay, I'm starting to lose your voice, your sound.
I was saying that there's multiple versions of me right now, and that I'm picking the optimal one, which may not be the one that I seem to see with my eyes, but that other one is there, and I'm picking that one. And the more I pick that one, the more I become that one. So again, it's to me the key. And I again, I could be totally wrong about this, but this is what's up for me, is, and I don't want to acknowledge the problem at all in the process. I just want to jump right into the end, the new me. And you can call that setting an intention or whatever you want to call it, but for me, there needs to be no problem. So, and in any part of the process, that I'm already whole and free and abundant, and that's the process for me. So that's just what's up for me.
Right. And honestly, there are certain aspects of this that I would rather be different too. I'd rather not acknowledge a problem. I'd rather just jump to the solution and create that. And in a lot of cases, I can do that because going back to what I said, we don't need to do all 5 steps all at the same time. We can just simply decide what we want and trust that it's going to happen. And there are a number of things where I can do that. It's like, okay, I'm going to get up at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And let's say I normally wake up at 8, but if I make the intention that I'm going to have that experience, I can trust that it's actually going to happen because it's something that usually happens quite often. The example that I've used a number of times with weather, that's something that I have developed the connection to, the affinity for, the ability to influence. And at first, it took a lot of focus, a lot of effort to try to make something happen in that regard. But now, because I have such experience with that, because I have such a strong faith in my ability to do that, that faith makes it possible for me to say, okay, what kind of weather do I want? Okay, it's done. It can be simplified as far as you want to make it, as long as you have the faith that powers it. If that process works for you, you are blessed. And I wish you wonderful success with it, because I would absolutely love to be able to do that too. There are some things I can do that. There are other things where I need something more. And so this 5-step process is to help those who are not yet there to get there. And one of the things that we can manifest with that is the faith to make that type of process work. It's like right now, okay, going back to that, if at this point I can't just simply click my fingers and have something happen, this is a process that can help me get there. And that would be an interesting experiment to see, okay, how far can we take this? Can we take it to the point of materializing things out of thin air? I mean, there are examples of that throughout history. So it should be possible, right?
It's definitely possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. I would absolutely love that too. If it works for you, that's great. If it doesn't, then maybe try this and see if that helps.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
So someone in the chat asked to reiterate the 5 steps. I did post that in the chat. If you'd like me to talk any more about any of those steps or how to use it, okay.
Now, and I have something.
Sure.
You know, um, my background is very chaotic. I I just pick narcissists to be with. And so my intention was always, I want peace. This chaos is killing me. Now, Alan, I think I want a different intent. I have so much peace that I have hardly anyone around me. And so I'm really getting quite lonely. So I don't know what intent I want now, but I think the peace one is too limiting.
Right, and that can be the fallout of specifying a specific outcome like that. What I generally recommend to people is that if they don't necessarily know exactly what they want, I mean, if you know exactly what you want, go for it. But if you don't know exactly what you want, the best thing to focus on is I want to be happy. Because if you focus on creating happiness within yourself, then you're creating all of the different experiences that lead to happiness.
I feel I am happy. I'm just lonely.
Well, then you've identified the problem state. So the problem state, loneliness, you want companionship of one kind or another. And so you want people in your life that enrich your life.
Yes.
So it sounds like that is the direction of what you'd want to manifest, just to have more of that enjoyable companionship on a more regular basis.
Yeah, and they're there. I gotta keep. I don't write them and I don't talk to them enough. If I were, no, I have that too, but I have to work to keep that closeness because I'm very quiet and sit back.
Yeah, I can be that way too. Sometimes I get so focused on my work that I forget about the friendships that
Right.
should be
And
taken
as
care of.
far as manifesting, well, I did it.
Yeah, yep, you did it.
I did it.
Peggy, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I have a doctor's appointment right now, so I have to get off. And thank you.
Yeah, I did have a couple people say that
Wait,
they'd be
let's
able
see,
to
he's
make it for
on.
the first hour, but
He's
they
not
had to
going to be
leave
on
by
time
11.
anyway.
Well, anyway, okay. Thank you. Bye.
Sure, yeah, I'll make sure you get the recording.
Okay,
Good to
thank
see
you.
Peggy.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
This is going to go for another hour.
I just set out 2 hours just to be on the safe side. I don't know how long it's going to go. I'm guessing at least another half hour because
Okay.
we're going to walk through the process for 15 minutes and then I'm hoping to get a little bit more discussion going here.
Hey, Alan, one of the things that I found, particularly when I was younger, is sometimes when you have these negative thoughts or misconceptions, it's really hard to even come up with an intention to focus, right? So every time you try to focus, your brain comes up with a million reasons why you should be doing something else, right? And probably I think some people, so and so like what I like to do is like I like to do some yoga and maybe some breath work because that helps me to burn off that energy. But what are some recommendations that other recommendations you might give? Because I think I've observed a lot of people have a hard time focusing in general.
Right. It is a skill. It's like a muscle. You have to exercise it to get the best use out of it. And yeah, as far as focusing, that's really the bottom line is just exercise it, do different things that require focus. But there are some other things as well. One of the things that relates to what you were saying about yoga and the other stuff is that if you engage in an activity that is enjoyable, That's the enjoyment, the indulgence step that is in part of this process that helps bring you into a state of focus. Because when you are enjoying what you are experiencing in the moment, it's very easy to focus on the moment without going into other things. If you are currently in a situation where you're not enjoying the situation, if you are thinking about things that are happening in the world that you don't agree with, and I know a lot of people these days are doing that, that can really distract you from the thing that you want to focus on. So the advice that I would give there is that sometimes you have to be very intentional about the focus. Sometimes, like you said, you have to burn off that energy. And in the process of burning off the energy, like doing some form of exercise, maybe doing something like house cleaning or something where you've got to be at least somewhat focused on what you're doing, moving heavy pieces of furniture or equipment or just lifting weights in general, that's something that requires a lot of focus to really do it. Doing speed walking is another form of exercise that it requires more focus than just general walking. So by doing things that require focus, that helps you to develop focus. And again, like what I was talking about before, is that if we do a cyclic thing where we go into a state of focus and then we relax, and then we go back into that state of focus and then we relax, and we just keep going at it over and over and over again, we get better and better and better at focusing within the same time frame so that we can burn through the distractions. Kind of like focusing the sunlight onto paper, you can burn through the distractions by just continually bringing yourself back into focus. The story that I want to share with everyone here related to this, and I know I've told this story before, some of you may have heard it, some of you may not, but it's a good reminder even if you have heard it. Quite a number of years ago, before Linda and I got together, I was definitely in a state of mind in which I was very upset and frustrated with a lot of things in my life. Even after learning how to manifest, I was manifesting certain things. And what was interesting was a lot of times I was putting the energy of anger into what I was manifesting. It's like, I'm trying to fix something that shouldn't have happened to begin with. That was wrong, but I'm going to try to fix it. And that was the energy, the feeling that went into the manifestation, which is why whenever I manifested something, something else would go wrong. So I had created a situation for myself where it seemed everything was going wrong. Murphy was my constant companion, and I was a champion angry person. I got angry all the time. And I knew that my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs were creating my experience, but I was still so caught up in that pattern, in that habit, that I couldn't control it any longer. And so I knew I had to get control over that. I knew I had to be able to shift my focus away from what was wrong in my life and shift it into something more positive. And so I made a very intentional decision. I'm going to spend time focusing on what I felt the opposite of anger was, which was a feeling of love. That was my intention, to focus on a feeling of love and to hold on to that feeling as much as I could to change my energy, to change my state of mind, to change my focus. And so the first time I sat down, it's like, okay, love, what is that? How does that feel? Try to bring that into my awareness. And it was only a couple minutes before some stray thought went through my mind, something that wasn't right in the world. And I dropped the love and I got up and I was really angry and I was fuming all over the place. And then I realized what had happened. It's like, that's not what I want. I need to go back and try it again. So I sat back down, I got back into it. And I lasted a little longer that time. And then I got angry about something else, and I went back to it over and over and over again. Over a period of about 2, maybe 3 weeks, I had shifted my default state my automatic responses to the point where that anger was no longer in control of me. And I was able to focus on what was right in the world. I was focused on something more positive, and Murphy changed gears. Instead of everything going wrong at the worst possible moment, everything started going right for me. Simply because I was focusing on love. Simply because I was focusing on something positive. And now with hindsight, I can see that what I was doing was I was connecting to that deeper mind. I didn't realize it at the time, but by connecting to the deeper mind and allowing that deeper mind to change me, because that was the unspoken intention behind there, was that I'm going to change my behavior. I'm doing this to change my behavior. It was an unspoken intention, but the intention was still there. So if we have the intention to increase our ability to focus, and we're doing something that we believe will change our ability to focus, by continually doing it over and over again, we do develop the ability to focus even more. So that would be my advice in that situation.
Regarding the anger thing, I think what you're saying is almost disassociation with the issue. Like, a great thing I learned was to ask yourself, who is angry, right? And, that happened to me the other day, and I was like, who is angry? And the voice came back, my father. I'm being my father. I'm not being me, right? Or whatever. But I wanted to share too, what I did when I was younger to help me focus was I would imagine the chalkboard in front of me and draw a circle, and then inside of it, draw the number 99 and draw as close as possible to 99, as close to the circle as possible. And then erase it and do the same thing, go to 98. And if you touch the circle with the number, you then have to start back over at 99 again. And that really helped me to learn to focus my concentration, because it's teaching you to, to focus on something, or to focus on a rose, or, something, and just examine the details of it. Just as a,
Yeah, believe it or not, that's actually a hypnotic induction. That's
yeah,
something that's taught as a hypnotic induction. It's just write down on a chalkboard like a number like 99. Now erase it and draw 98 and erase that and let it keep going. And that causes someone to focus, which is what hypnosis is a highly intense, concentrated state of focus.
selective concentration. Yeah.
Yep.
It's also good if you can't sleep at night, because I rarely ever get to 97
Okay.
for insomnia.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but that's some good stuff. Thanks. I appreciate the input.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to ask if anyone else has any comments, feedback, something to add in, any questions. If not, we'll go into the guided session.
Hi, this is Aparajita. So I was just looking for some elaboration on the 5 steps of the 5 eyes that you have mentioned. Then like the part like indulge.
Tell you what, I think I need to turn up my speakers so I can hear you more clearly. Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, hold on. Can you hear me?
Oh, that's much better. Yes, that's great.
Yeah, I just was looking to get some more insight into the step for indulge.
Okay. Yeah. In this 5-step process, the intention, we've talked about that a little bit. The indulge part as second step, that is where we just simply focus on something that gives us a feeling of love or joy or some other positive emotion, and focus on that experience, kind of like what I was talking about when I was getting away from anger, focusing on something that gives you some degree of a positive response. The more positive, the better. That's why love and joy are usually the two that I will focus on most. There are some people that want to focus on other feelings, and that's perfectly okay. Just whatever you feel is the most positive thing possible. Basically, this is a part of going within It's about separating from the world outside and going into that inner space within yourself. And you want to set the context to be as positive as possible. So by focusing on things that you enjoy, this could be like, let's say you love to read. So you imagine that you're reading a book. You're reading the best book you've ever written. You're so much into that story. You absolutely love what you're doing. Or maybe you like getting a massage. And so you imagine yourself on the table. An expert massage therapist is doing magic with you, and it's an absolutely perfect experience, and you're just all in the moment. And let your mind be completely filled with that wonderful experience of whatever it is that you enjoy. I mean, if you enjoy sitting on the beach, imagine that. If you like skydiving, do that. Whatever you enjoy, just find something within yourself that sparks and brings up into your experience that positive emotion, and just focus on that positive emotion as much as you can. And when you have that positive emotion, you are becoming more focused. You are going into that deep inner level where you are connected to the subconscious, unconscious, divine mind. And when you are connected to that deeper mind within, then you have the opportunity to do that communication, which happens in step 3, which is where the insight comes from.
Thank you so much. So essentially, when I'm doing the intention, and also, like, say for example, whatever brings joy to me, like while enjoying the massage, so am I working through the intention part as well? Like, I'm trying to understand like the 5 steps, like.
Yeah, I think it'll become a lot more clear when we actually walk through the example. But essentially, yeah, you set the intention. It's like, okay, I'm going to do something now that is going to change my reality. I'm going to do something which is going to change my experience in whatever way that you are intending to do at that time. And then after you set the intention, then you shift into, okay, now I'm going to sit back and relax. For me, there is a physical movement. It's like when I'm setting my intention, my back is straight. I am in tight posture. I am actually holding some degree of tension in my muscles because that helps me to focus. And when I am that much focused on this is what I'm going to create, this is what I'm going to manifest into my life, this is what I'm going to experience from this moment on, I'm very, very focused on not so much an outer state, but the future state. It is something outside of myself. So after I'm done setting the intention, then I literally sit back and I bring my attention within, and I go into a softer focus, a more relaxed focus, and then I go into that wonderful experience to connect me to that divine mind within. So it's all about connecting to the divine mind, that intuitive mind within that's happening in that second step. And then after I'm connected through the indulgence, then I'm communicating with that deeper mind, and I say, okay, make the changes that are required within myself to make this happen. Make the changes in the outer world that need to happen, and then tell me what I may need to do on an outer level to assist it to happen. And then that's the third step. And then after the changes have been made, after that part, then you assume that the changes have been made. And you say, okay, this has happened. This is now going to be my reality. If I don't see it right now, it's because it's still coming. It has been created in my timeline. And this is how I visualize it. Now, you can visualize it a different way. But when I visualize the manifestation, when I'm done, it is done. It is manifested. It is a physical reality. But it may be a physical reality that happens tomorrow. It may be a physical reality that happens next month. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I trust that it has happened. I step out of time and look at the eternity of time, and I know that it has been placed into time. It may not be at the same time that I am now, but that is the limitation of my own belief system. if I had stronger belief, then maybe I could manifest that instant manifestation, that money out of thin air kind of experience. But that's a limit of my own belief. But I do believe at the end of the insight portion where I've talked about letting my deeper mind make the changes for me and be open to whatever changes are going to happen, I trust that it has happened and I will see it. And then in the integration state, it's like, okay, this is now my reality. At some point, I will experience this. And I trust that it's going to happen. The invocation, again, it's really just a matter of setting a new intention that the changes that have been made are now being made permanent and will be my entire, well, not my entire reality, but will be a permanent part of my reality from this point forward. So that gets into the invocation step. So we've kind of gone through all 5 of them again. So is that clear enough?
Yes, thank you so much for explaining so well.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. I want to make sure that I have given you everything you need to be able to do this. So the last thing that I think you'll need is an actual experience, because once you experience it, then it becomes even more clear. So at this point, I'm going to have you decide on what it is that you would like to manifest. And because of time, and I know some people need to do some other things, I am open to this lasting 2 hours, but I'm going to try to get this done in the next 20 minutes. So just simply focus on defining what it is that you want to manifest into your life next. It can be something very simple, a call from a friend. It can be something also simple like a moment of mirth that happens spontaneously without anything sparking it. I mean, it can be anything. It can be those simple little things which are very, very easy to manifest, or it can be something more involved. It can be the introduction of a new set of friends. It can be the introduction of greater financial abundance. It can be a change within your physical body that you've been looking for a period of time. It can be anything that you want to manifest, and just define it as simply as you can. And now this is another piece of information I want to make sure that's clear. The more clear you can make your intention, the better. If you try to define every single detail, as an example, when I manifested my relationship with Linda, it's like, okay, I can talk about height, I can talk about weight, I can talk about physical appearance, I can talk about what topics we share, interests we have in common, we can talk about different things that we do. Yes, I did include all of that in my manifestation, which is why it took 3 weeks to manifest. If I had simplified it, as in I want a relationship in which I am going to be extremely happy, by simplifying the definition, the statement, the intention to something like that, my deeper mind knows all of those little details that will make me happy. I don't have to define them. All I have to do is set the core intention of what it is that I want to manifest. So I want you to think of something you would like to manifest, define it as simply as you possibly can, and right now just simply focus all of your attention on that intention. It's like, we are now going to manifest this into your life. We are going to make this actually a part of your physical, real experience. And this is going to happen somewhere during this process. Set the intention, be very clear on it, be very forceful with it if you have to. I mentioned before about a lot of my early intentions were set with a feeling of anger. I needed that at that time just to have the force of focus. I was later able to drop the anger because my focus had been developed. But use whatever you have to get into a very tight focus so that no other thoughts are in your mind except for the thought that You are now creating this intention into your life. This is going to be a part of your life from this point forward, or for whatever time it needs to exist. So be very, very clear. Focus, 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 focus. Put all of your attention on this. Make sure that you have all of your attention, every single brain cell in your brain, tuned to this one idea of the thing that you want to manifest. It is going to manifest. It is going to happen one way or another. Be very committed to making it happen. And then now that you have that commitment, once you feel that commitment, once you feel that you have defined it clearly enough, and that all parts of you are now on board to make it a reality for yourself, because that's part of what this does too, is you're setting a vibration that goes throughout your entire system. So it's not just on a conscious level, it gets down into your subconscious, into the unconscious, into the divine mind. You're sending that message all the way through the system so that all parts of you are now in alignment with the idea that you are going to make this happen. Once the target has been set, once the intention has been set, now you can relax, now you can go within, and now you can turn your focus onto something more enjoyable, something that you truly enjoy. And again, anything that gives you some positive feeling, a positive feeling of love, a positive feeling of joy, a positive feeling of peace, a positive feeling of pleasure. It really doesn't matter, just something that makes you feel good. And just allow yourself to daydream about this experience and allow yourself to experience it in this moment. And allow yourself to relax your physical body as you daydream. And the more you focus on this wonderful experience within yourself, and the more you relax, the more your mind just naturally focuses on this incredibly enjoyable, indulgent experience. And just allow that feeling of indulgence, that feeling of joy, that feeling of love, that feeling of peace, whatever feeling you have selected for yourself, allow that incredible feeling to grow, to become stronger, to become more intense. And be curious, how strong can this emotion, this feeling become? What if it could be 10 times stronger than it is now? How would that feel? And allow this incredible feeling to spread throughout your entire body and mind. And allow yourself to get lost in the experience. Allow yourself to open to an even more divine experience. And allow yourself to just stretch out energetically or physically. And give yourself permission to go all in on this experience. There's no need to think about yesterday. There's no need to think about tomorrow. There's no need to think about anything other than the enjoyment that you are feeling within this experience. And I wonder, how much more could it grow? How far can it spread? How much more open can you become? How much more can you relax and let go and release anything that may have been holding you back from experiencing the thing that you have intended to create. And all of this can happen in the background because the intention you set has already activated your deeper mind to make the changes for you. And as your conscious mind goes off on this wonderful excursion into the depths of indulgence, your deeper mind is busy, always working, always doing something or another. And it's working to assist in the manifestation. Any habits you may have had that were standing in your way will change on their own. Habits of mind, habits of body, habits of behavior. All of that is taken care of for you as you continue to focus on the indulgent experience. And it's perfectly okay if your mind shifts from one indulgent experience to another. Just follow whatever your mind gives you. Let it happen. Let it carry you away. And just simply remember that no matter where you go in this space, you will continue to hear my voice, you will understand what I'm saying, and your deeper mind will respond to the suggestions given to make that manifestation a reality for you. And over the next few minutes, we are entering into the insight portion of this process. And I'll be essentially quiet for a couple of minutes while your deeper mind takes you on a journey, gives you its own experience, an experience that will open up the doors to experience the reality of your intention. And during this experience, you may learn certain things about yourself. You may learn certain things about how to assist that manifestation to take place. Or you may receive nothing more than just an incredibly enjoyable experience because there's nothing more you need to do. Just allow the deeper mind to guide you because it knows everything you need. And the next time you hear my voice in just a couple of minutes, the change will be made. And just a reminder, there's nothing you need to do on a conscious level except enjoy the process. Certain ideas may come into your awareness, and that's okay, because they are relevant. Continue to follow whatever your deeper mind gives you. And if anything in your inner experience attracts your attention, follow that. see where it leads. You just might be amazed. And so at this point, I'm going to bring your attention to the idea that the change has already been made for you. Whatever shifts were needed on an inner level have been made. Whatever changes to physical reality needed to be made are being made and may continue to evolve over time. We now trust that the manifestation has taken place. It is now in physical reality, even though it may be at a time future to now. And how does it feel to know that you are the type of person who can manifest the things that you want? You have the ability to manifest anything you intend into physical reality. We are all divine beings with the power and the authority to create and to co-create our world according to the vision that comes from within. And if there is any aspect to yourself that was part of your intention, just notice how that part of you will now be different in those situations where it was important to be so. As an example, if you were wanting to have more confidence speaking in public, just notice how you can walk into a room filled with people and know for an absolute fact that you have what it takes to deliver your message effectively. Feel the confidence. Feel the appreciation. Feel the rewards. And just take a moment and imagine a situation that is likely to come up in which the manifestation plays an important role. And just imagine, daydream for a moment, how wonderful it's going to be now that the manifestation has been created into your life experience. And the first time it happens, it may be a surprise. It may be a wonderful surprise. And the next time and the next time. But each time you have the opportunity to use the results of your manifestation, it gets expected. It becomes the norm. You take it for granted because it has been a part of you for a very long time. And if you project yourself out into the future to a time when you have had this manifestation for a number of years, say 5 or 10 years or more, how does it feel to know that you created this and you've been enjoying this for a very long time? This is a part of who you are. And you can bring that experience into present moment, keeping the changes that have been made and ready to experience the delight of experiencing even more. And so at this point, I'll bring your attention back to your physical body and the room in which you left it. And we're going to set a new intention. We're going to invoke this experience to show itself into physical reality. We are going to invoke the invisible into the visible. And so, whatever your intention was, say, this is now my reality. This is who I am. This is what I experience in life. And it is a wonderful experience. I am thankful to have it, and I enjoy it. You can add whatever you want to onto that, but that's enough. And when you're ready, I'd love to hear what kind of an experience you had there. And that was a very simple 15-minute version. So it can be a good thing to stretch a little bit, bring your awareness back to your physical body. Let those deep inner changes continue to take root within yourself, continue to grow and evolve, because even though the changes have been made, further changes are possible. And it's interesting how some of this can lead. Going back to the example that I mentioned before, once I realized that hypnosis and manifesting were not only two examples of a similar thing, but actually two forms of the same thing, that one realization led to so many other realizations. So the change that has been made here for you today is just one of many that is about to happen. So right now I only see Steve and Rose on my screen. Would either one of you like to share part of your experience? You don't have to, but it's something I'm very interested in.
Go ahead, Rose.
Oh, Steve, were you going to say something?
Oh, yeah, if you want to go ahead and say something, go ahead. I could go after you.
I was just going to say that I learned a lot about myself through my intention. I like to be alone. I like to have the outside world go away and just be quiet. I like that a lot. But I feel that now, maybe if I change the way I relate to people, that I'll have more activities in my life with people that enhance my life.
Yeah, it's completely possible to have sometimes alone and sometimes with others, and it doesn't have to be all of one or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
I love my alone time.
Yeah. And what you mentioned about learning from the intention, that's something I hadn't thought of. But it is very true. Sometimes when you put enough focus and intention behind an idea, and you notice something within you responding in a slightly negative way to that idea, it means that's not really your intention. It's not coming from your true authentic self. It's coming from what you think you should want rather than what you actually want. So sometimes just putting the focus and the pressure on that idea helps you to identify, is this mine? Kind of like what Steve was saying, who's getting angry? Is this mine? Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You've done, this has been very enlightening.
Yeah, I was it was kind of coming down to a lot. There's a lot of layers, but I think one of them is self-worth, right? Being raised Catholic, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you kind of thing. And um what came to me during the session was that there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, right? So when we're growing up, you're always hearing, "Oh, you're too big for your britches. Yeah, I gotta cut you down a few layers. All right, you're not. You shouldn't be this way." Well, that was probably arrogance, right? As a teenager, full of testosterone, you know everything, right? And so to understand the difference between, and for me to continue to focus on the difference between confidence and arrogance, because if you lump the two together, then, you know, then you have neither.
Right.
Right. And
Yep.
so anyway, that was very profound. Thank you. It was a very
You're
great
funny.
insight.
You're funny, honey.
And
I
there's a
have
lot of
my.
layers on top of that too, as far as that goes, like the public speaking and all that. I think that kind of boils down to this more so.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So this is absolutely wonderful to know that you are getting that depth of insight from that process, because I think we were only in the insight portion for about 2 minutes. So
mhm.
that's incredible. Love it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So would anybody else like to share their experience in there? Otherwise, at this point, I'm kind of done with all of the information and the experience portion of what I was planning to share. Anything from this point on is really just conversation. So I would love to have questions. I'd love to have people sharing their ideas and their viewpoints. John, if you want to come back and talk more about Neville Goddard. I love Neville Goddard, and I truly believe that what he says does work. It's just something that not everyone is in a position to do well. And you need a certain level of belief to make his process work. So, but I am happy for you to share your ideas for the group and contribute to the conversation.
I'm going to leave you now.
Actually, I'm looking at the participant list. He's not here right now. He had to leave. Okay, so.
Me too. Thank you. Alan, this was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. I am very happy you were able to make it. So I'm glad to have you here. And we have another Rose coming in. We've got a Rose Bush coming up.
I've been here since 10:15, but my signal is very poor, and it's better to keep the camera off.
I did see you come in, and I'm very happy that you were here. You're one of those people that I was really hoping would be able to make it.
Yeah, it has been wonderful for me, and my intention is just to get up earlier and after breakfast get my emails done. So that's been. But can I have another one tomorrow? Does it have to be? I mean, how many times do you have to repeat something?
Oh, it really depends on a variety of factors. First of all, how close is it to your normal experience? Because the closer it is to your normal experience, the easier it is to manifest. If it's something very different from your normal experience, that's what makes it more difficult. Because you have a certain number of beliefs about what is your normal experience, and there's a range that those beliefs allow. And then if you're trying to jump too far out of that, then it takes more sessions to shift your beliefs to encompass that new reality.
Okay. So saying
But something
early,
about
yeah,
getting up earlier and being more organized with emails, that should be relatively easy. I mean, unless you've been the creative artist where everything is in disarray every which way, then that might take a little bit of effort.
Not quite. Yeah, okay. So just wait until I'm sure it's happened and I believe it's happened and it's fixed, and then I can go on to the next one.
Well, you don't have to do it that way. Okay, there's a couple of different opinions on how to mix and work on multiple projects at once. Some people say go ahead and work on all projects at once. Just whenever you get the intent, whenever it attracts your attention, whether a thought comes into your mind or something you see outside reminds you of that, if you set the intention each and every time you're reminded of it, and you're reminded of different things throughout the day, that's perfectly okay, at least in some respects, because the deeper mind can multitask very well. I mean, walking and chewing gum is the classic example. If you can do that, then you can think of at least two things at once. But the thing about just walking in general, there's so many different bones and so many different muscles. Yeah, Steve, thanks for coming in. so many bones and muscles that are being coordinated, your subconscious mind is already multitasking every time you move to some degree or another. So multitasking is perfectly okay. The opposite approach is recommended by some people, especially when you're first learning the process. Because if you're first learning the process and you're not familiar with it, sometimes it can also be valuable to focus on one thing for a period of time until it happens. Then you know that it happened. Then that belief that has been built up and grown, that belief that has evolved in a different way of saying it, that belief can go into the next thing even more amplified, even stronger, and the next manifestation happens even quicker. And so that's why, like with me and the thing with weather and manifesting in general, I have been doing this for like 35, 40 years. And I have had my failures along the way, especially in the beginning. But among the failures, there have also been a lot of successes. And I've seen so many successful outcomes that where the idea of can I manifest, there's not a question in my mind at this point. That faith is absolute. Yes, I can. Maybe not all the time, maybe not everything that I set the intention for. That's my limitation, and that's still room for me to grow.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I'm so glad I came today. One of the reasons I didn't contact you and suggest a time was because I'm totally screwed up with the time zones. I'm in Bolivia now, and my phone and my laptop say a different time.
Okay.
And I've now realized that I'm actually on the same time zone as EDT.
Okay.
Which I didn't know I was. And so
yeah, that works out good then.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
It does indeed, yes. So thank you, Alan. Thank you so much for your time and all the effort you put into it. And I look forward to the recording and hearing the first bit again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you're most welcome. I'm glad that I've been of service to you. I also thank you for coming in because I definitely wanted to have your energy involved here. So
thank you.
and,
So I'm
and
sorry.
at some point we need to catch up because it's been a little while since we've talked, but maybe not necessarily right now. So looking forward to that.
So I sent you an email before Christmas when you suddenly stopped that group meeting with Peggy, and I never got a reply to it. So I was thinking, oh, I've been ghosted. It's a new word in my terminology. I've been ghosted. And then now I'm getting 2 copies of your emails. Each one, they're slightly different emails, like they're addressed to.
Yeah,
So
I started using a new system and I've got both systems going at the same time. You're probably listed on both of them. I can pull you out of one and leave you in the other.
But I don't know which email to use to contact you.
All emails work for me. Any email you have for me will continue to work for some time.
Okay.
So
okay.
I've got at least 6. I've got at least 6 different emails, and
but somehow you missed the one I sent. So anyway.
Yeah, I will look to see if I can find that again, and I do apologize if I forgot to respond. It's possible I didn't get it. Maybe it got lost, but if I don't contact you sometime before tomorrow, please send it again, and I will definitely.
Okay. All right, Alan. Well, thank you so much again. And yes, I look forward to talking to you, keeping this conversation going. So thank you.
Yeah.
Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.
Okay. Talk to you later. So Viz, definitely looking forward to talking with you too. I've been having you in my mind ever since we had our spotlight session or that Starburst session. And
it's been a minute.
have been kind of wanting to see what I can do for you.
Oh gosh, nothing immediately comes to mind. It's just been a whirlwind of things happening on my end, especially with just keeping up with life, with work. It's her senior year in high school, so there's been lots going on with that, especially with her extracurricular activities and stuff. So attending performances, competitions, things like that. She's actually playing with a couple different bands this tonight at Western Michigan, and then out in a jazz festival at Thornapple Hastings, which I think is
Okay.
not too far from Grand Rapids.
Okay. I don't remember if I ever knew that you were here in the Michigan area.
Oh, I I
Okay.
live near
That
Pontiac.
that's great. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we
you're
should
in.
actually get together sometime.
I was gonna say you're in southwestern Michigan.
Uh, yeah, Grand Rapids.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely be in the area. Being that be heading to Kalamazoo, like I said, Western this
Yeah.
evening.
So, what instrument does she play?
Percussion,
Okay.
basically, especially
Okay.
marimba is one of her favorites. She likes vibraphone too,
Yeah.
and over the last, well, I guess it's been more than a year, she's been doing quite well with learning how to play with four mallets, two in each
Okay.
hand. So it's really
Yeah, I
nice to
saw
see.
somebody do that one time. It's really, really interesting what type of music can come out of that.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, especially when they're proficient at what they do. Some really amazing stuff that comes about. Aside from that, she loves spinning, flag, rifle, saber.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with if you know what a color guard is in a marching band,
Yep.
so she did that for 5 years, and then she expanded upon that and participated in something called Winter Guard, which is just the guard by themselves, and
Okay.
they do a performance to background music on a basketball court, basically with a large tarp they have set out, doing movement and spinning and whatnot. So it can be a very competitive thing to do in the winter. She loves it to pieces. So
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So do you care to share any of your experience from the session today?
so it's informative as always, and it's a good reminder of things that you like to tell us about, remind us about, and everything. The session that you had, well, I made a comment in the chat there in case you didn't see it already there.
Okay. Yeah, I see it now.
So,
Okay. Yep.
so like you said, if anything, it'll be nice and relaxing, that sort of thing. But can definitely imagine what else can come about from it when practiced more, when practiced longer, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a mashup between my classic manifestation process and the hypnosis process. So
There you
uh,
go.
now that I understand they really are two of the same thing, that means I have a little bit more freedom and flexibility in how I do the different stages. Like the intention at the beginning, in hypnosis, it's all about fixate the attention. And in the old days, it was like, look at that spot on the wall. And as you're looking at that spot, notice how this is happening and that's happening,
Right.
and redirecting attention and focus. And a lot of times these days, it's like, okay, bring your hands together, focus on that spot in between the two, and notice how it pulls the fingers together. That's just bringing focus and attention. But by bringing the
Yes.
manifestation into it and say, okay, let's focus on what you actually want to change,
Yeah.
it accomplishes the same goal,
Right.
but it adds in a new layer of meaning into the experience.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting how you mentioned the thing with the two fingers and how they come together. It kind of reminds me of an experiment that I did in reading a book called I think it's yeah, I do have it on my shelf here, Hypno-Cybernetics, uh, where you you have it too. That's
I have
great.
it too. I
So
found a reference to it in another book and I went looking for it. I found a used copy.
yeah, I ended up
Yep.
finding a hard copy.
You
So
know, that was the first time I ever had an idiomotor response, as far as the thing about relax your hand and wait for the subconscious mind to tell you it's ready by lifting a finger. And it's like, I've never had that happen before, but after a while I kind of relaxed and my finger actually went up. It's like, wow, it actually works.
I think the one thing that came to mind from that book was the experiment where you hold both arms out, and I think it's like you have a balloon tied to one
Oh
hand
yeah, the dictionary
and the
balloon.
bag of
Yep.
groceries in the other. Something like so. That immediately popped to mind when you were doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are
But
classic suggestion experiments.
yeah, yeah, very, very, very. What you were saying a moment ago with regards to manifestation and hypnosis makes me think about brain activity, brain waves. I can imagine there's a fair bit that can be said there, especially thinking about how that can definitely come into play. Um, One book that definitely comes to mind as far as that goes is the Silva mind control method, I believe,
Hmm.
and the different
Yeah, I've got that one too,
yeah, there
or at least one version of it.
there you go. Yeah,
Actually, I've also
classic.
got their Ultramind book about
Ah,
developing psychic abilities.
which reminds me of something I was just digging into yesterday. We're all over the place here, right? Um, oh gosh, what's it called? The Monroe method, I think it is. CIA files.
Astral projection.
Uh, yeah, I think that's part of it. I don't know if that's the whole thing, but
Yeah,
because they
Monroe
talk about
Institute
out-of-body
developed the
experiences and
hemisync brainwave
yes,
entrainment stuff. Yep.
right, right, yes. So I was thinking about digging into that. Have you dug into that yourself?
Oh yeah. A number of years ago, I would say probably around 2010, I think,
Hmm.
I had created a system called the Embraces Belief Entrainment System, and in that there were like 360 different audio programs. Each
Wow.
one focused on something slightly different. There were 10 modules. Each module focused on about 50 different beliefs within that module. And then I ran through an experiment with about 185 people around the world who had purchased my brainwave entrainment package.
Mm.
And we played with different forms of subliminal suggestions: first person versus second person, current time versus future time. Um, I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly what all the different variations were, but at the time, my intention was to find which version works best. But in gathering my feedback from everyone, what
Mm.
I discovered was that if someone only used this one or only used that one, they got about the same results.
Mm.
But if someone used both, they got better results.
Uh,
So I realized that it wasn't any one was better than the other, but the variety made it better. And so that's why I ended up with 360 different audios, because I had so much variety. I had a
um,
male voice, I had a female voice, I had first person, I had second person, I had music or no music, I had I had the brainwave entrainment tones in all of them, but some of them were focus so that you can listen to it while you're busy doing other things and driving.
mhm.
Then there was a relaxation version where you can sit back and relax and go into a meditative state with it. And because some people did request it, I also created a version that could be used while you're sleeping to bring your brain waves down into the delta range so that you can still remain sleeping throughout the night. So yeah, I've
Yeah,
definitely played with the brainwave entrainment stuff, but I
yeah.
will also say that I eventually kind of left it behind, partly for the reason that the power of belief and expectation had more to do with the results than the specific entrainment method itself. I played around with some of those, and yeah, there was some influence between the focused version and the relaxed version. One, you definitely focused a lot more, kept you out of being relaxed.
Hmm.
But I found that it wasn't absolutely needed. Yes, it did add an extra layer into it. It did help. It did boost the results. But the results that I was getting just simply through the guided processes with the meditations or the hypnosis sessions, I was getting at least 90% of the results with no background whatsoever. And the
Mm.
company that created the software I was using kind of went out of business. And the software was such to where when you installed it, it had to phone home to get permission to install. So it was good for the computer that it was installed on when they went out of business, but when I replaced that computer, I couldn't install it on any other computer.
Oh, wow, man.
And
Hmm.
there are now a couple of pieces of software that look promising and could be used, but they're not nearly as nice as what that one was. So
Yeah. Yeah, I just happened to come across that recently. Like I said, the what's it called? The Gateway Experience
okay. I've
Hemisync
heard of
by.
that. I don't remember much about what I heard, but I've heard of that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. All good, all good. Figure that might be worth a mention for grins and giggles, if anything, to see what
Sure.
your experience was as you basically shared now. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I don't think anything else is really coming to mind. Maybe a stray thought, if anything, that kind of came about was I don't know if you may have touched upon this already today or otherwise, but thinking about as you're also a fan of Neville Goddard, like you were saying, um, something that came to mind was something that tends to come about when performing techniques or whatnot for manifestation is he talks about stuff usually doesn't come right away. You usually go through what's called the uh, bridge of incidents, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I can't say I remember that specifically, but it definitely echoes my experience that sometimes you create the manifestation, but then physically you need to move into a place where that becomes possible. And so one event leads you to the next, leads you to the next, leads you to the next.
Right.
The best example I can give from my own life is when I manifested the relationship with Linda. I had gone through my process, daydreamed, set the intention that what I'm doing now is going to create this experience for me. And then a different day, I was meditating and the idea popped into my mind. I want to go find a meditation group. So I pulled out the yellow pages, found a church that did a meditation group, started going to that church. A couple of weeks later, I met her. So that was that chain of events that led me to the manifestation.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. And was kind of curious as to how that may have transpired in your life to one degree or another. So that's what I was about to ask in one form or another. And you basically answered that. So thank you.
Yeah, I continue to have that same experience in a lot of things. It's like creating the program that I'm in the process of creating the new Radiant Studio, that new membership, which all members, you included, I know you're a member, will have access to that as part of your current membership. You'll basically have two memberships at the same level. I had set the intention that this is going to be a very successful program. It's going to be incredibly valuable for the people that I serve, all of those kind of things. And then that is probably what sparked the idea that I was practicing, preparing for a coaching session, which sparked another idea, which sparked other ideas, which created this whole framework now. And it's like, okay, this was instrumental to making that a success. And I can definitely see where it's definitely going to help, especially with the feedback I've been getting today.
And one thing I was wondering about, I meant to ask you about, is the one paid membership that I did. Was gonna check with you and see how long that's good for.
That was for a year, but because I've kind of been AWOL for a while, I will be extending that.
Okay, great. Much appreciated.
Yeah. There's been a lot of people who are still members years later after getting things started. And the last few years, I started with started getting into the hypnosis. I set the intention to create a number of different recordings that year. I got partway through, got
Right.
sidetracked by other things, eventually realized that the process I was using, my intention for that was really just I needed practice.
Yeah.
And so that was where I came up with that. I got practice. It started moving in different directions. I currently also have the same intention to create a whole library of new recordings to replace everything I did before using this new protocol. But now I've developed the ability to improvise with it so I can produce them a lot quicker than I was doing back then. Back then, I was scripting everything out. I was rehearsing that script. I was recording the script. I was then editing the script and correcting lines that weren't spoken correctly. And while the result was okay, and I did get a lot of positive comments from people using those recordings, whenever I do improvisation, whenever I improvise on it, the results that I get with my clients is so much better than what those recordings were doing, simply because it flows easier. There's more inflection in my voice.
Yeah.
The timing seems to be better. Everything about it is better when I improvise. So I've been working diligently to train myself on the specific little steps that are necessary to spark the right ideas at the right time, so that when it does come out, it comes out perfectly for the person that I'm working with.
Excellent.
So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
your membership was originally good for a year, but it's going to be extended out. So you'll probably get an additional year.
Okay, great. Good to know about. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Speaking of which, I think the reason you joined that was to get included in the business program
Right.
that I was talking about at that time.
Yes. Yes.
And I got that started. You were one of the 3 people that I was really focused on helping with that business program. And then for one reason or another, you probably got really busy, but it's like
Yeah.
you came into it and then I didn't hear anything more from you. And it's like, okay, I really want to help you. I think this is working. Am I just not explaining things in the right way? So that's kind of one reason why that program fizzled out, because you and one other person who said she really wanted to figure out how to make money online, she just once I presented it, it's like, no, I'm not really interested in this. I don't want to do that. It's like, okay, fine, that's no problem. So I ended up with one of my 3 people who actually wanted to continue. So it's like, let's do this as a private thing and not do it as a group thing. But I was just curious to know if the business aspect is still something that you might be interested in pursuing at some point.
Yes, I just need to carve the time out to make the investments
Yeah, I
into
know you said only about 5 or 10 hours a week was probably all you could do.
right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So hopefully things will come about to where I can make that investment. Maybe after after my younger graduates from high school, that may help to at least some degree.
Sure.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But appreciate those reminders and you're remembering those details and everything. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a belief that I've had for a very long time, that I have a good memory.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad we got to touch base on a lot of things there. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm thinking that's probably about it for right now, at least.
Okay. Yeah, if you
And
ever have any thoughts or questions or anything, you can always shoot me an email.
right.
That
Yeah.
that
You're good with that.
I'm always responding to. I check email multiple times a day.
All right. Wonderful.
As far as Rose, I'm not sure why I ended up losing track of hers, so I'll have to go digging and see what happened with that one.
Yeah. Stuff happens. Yeah. Who
Yeah.
knows? Okay. Well, uh, thanks for your time and the
Yep.
conversation and you holding this for everybody. So thanks very
Okay.
much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it as always.
Glad you were able to make it. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Good to see you, Alan.
Okay. And let's see here. I have a Jim who's showing in my participant list. I don't know if you're actually there or if you're just having your system record this or whatever. Let me know if you're still there. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to call it. So take care, Viz.